The Steelers survived late-game drama in Detroit for another win as they look to wrap up the AFC North today as the Steelers head to Cleveland for the second of two meetings with the Browns. We have all the latest on the playoff race and the matchup. It's all coming up next as you are watching Steelers Kickoff live right here on KDKA TV.
Welcome to BetMGM Steelers Kickoff.
Good morning, everyone, and it's a big game day. Huntington Bank Field, Cleveland, Ohio. It's the site of today's Steelers-Browns matchup, 1 p.m. Here's a live look from inside the stadium as the teams are beginning warm-ups on what looks to be a dreary, rainy, windy day on the shores of Lake Erie. Welcome inside the KDKA TV studios. Happy holidays. It's another edition of Steelers Kickoff. I'm Bob Pompeani, flanked by the quarterback of the program, Mr. Charlie Batch, who's been busy bringing out toys all this season. Congrats on that stuff, man. It's amazing. And Rich Walsh and Gerry Dulac will be alongside soon with analysis from Cleveland. As it turns out, today's game does matter as the Baltimore Ravens did what they had to do last night, a 41-24 win at Green Bay. So the big item in that game was Derrick Henry. We're going to show you a little bit of that coming up later. But from a player's perspective, Charlie, would you have wanted to kind of back in last night by having Green Bay win, or do you want to take the field today and win it on your own?
Yeah, in hindsight, you would like to already be in the playoffs at this particular point, but yet it forces you to have to go out there now and play a meaningful game. So this could benefit the Steelers moving forward.
Well, you know, unlike recent Decembers in years past, the Steelers are unleashing hell in this month, and they're getting the job done and winning the month of December, which is really paying off. The team has won 3 games in a row with a crucial victory over Baltimore on the road, followed by a Monday night win here at home against Miami, and then last week's thriller against Detroit. And those wins have made the Steelers' postseason percentages grow as the team looks to secure a home playoff game and a reward for winning the AFC North. So, Charlie, obviously, last 3 wins turned their season around. So if you had to put one thing that stood out from that 3-game streak, what would it be for you?
Dominating the line of scrimmage, both sides of the football. When you look at offensively, these guys have been getting the running game going and pushing that defensive front of their opponents and controlling that time of possession. That is what you need as you move into December, knowing that you have to control that time of possession. Kudos to that offensive line of the Steelers there.
Yeah, it's been totally different. And one thing that has certainly helped change their fortunes, coming out of halftime, man, it's been a big difference, specifically on defense. As you see in today's Hyundai by the numbers here, the defense has dominated, and I say that word a lot, dominated third quarters the past 2 weeks. These numbers are almost hard to believe. Through 30 minutes of play, they held the Dolphins and Lions to negative 25 yards on just 9 total plays for those 2 teams in the third quarter. Obviously, the offense had a lot to do with those stats because they put together long scoring drives. So, Charlie, what's been the key to that? How have they done it so efficiently?
When you have the addition to Derrick Harmon coming back, what happens is now offensively you have to identify which one you're actually going to double team. And whether you Cam Hayward having a phenomenal season, Derrick Harmon coming back, and then what you saw with Keanu Benton on the second play of the game coming up with a big sack, giving all the momentum to the Steelers there. So that defensive front is doing a great job.
All right, let's take a look at the standings now in the AFC North following last night's game. As you can see right here, the Steelers still sit atop the North, but the Ravens keep the door open for winning the division with an 8-0 record after that win last night. So if the Steelers lose today, those 2 teams will play for the outright title at Acrisure Stadium next week. Both the Bengals and Browns are eliminated, of course, but the Browns would love to play spoiler. The major news this week over here for Pittsburgh Steelers was the DK Metcalf fan situation. For more details on that and other news around the team, we head to Cleveland, where Rich Walsh joins us right now. Rich?
Guys, the Steelers are without a few starters here today. DK Metcalf, the biggest, suspended for the rest of the regular season. He had a huge game the last time these 2 teams played. 4 catches, 95 yards, and a touchdown. Earlier this week, Aaron Rodgers talked about losing his star receiver to a suspension.
There's always a lot of different things that are said. Some things that are benign and some things that aren't. And, you know, I think there's a mindset that you pay for a ticket, you can say whatever the hell you want. I think there should be some code of conduct. Obviously, that was intentional, and I think there was some celebration afterwards on his part. Obviously, don't condone what DK did, but I understand. You know, there's been a lot of crazy comments said my way over the years, and you know, the truth is that that would never happen face-to-face.
Now it's time to bring in our Steelers insider, Gerry Dulac. So DK Metcalf is done for the rest of the regular season. What did the Steelers organization think about this? And was there any optimism that it would be lower to one game?
Well, Rich, they thought that maybe it would be, but I will tell you this, the Steelers were a little annoyed that they did not hear from the league and the Lions before the game, because there was an incident last year with that same fan with DK Metcalf when he was with Seattle. And the Steelers thought maybe if they thought that it might happen again, maybe they should have been giving an alert by the league or from the Lions before the game so they can help maybe prevent the situation that did occur. That's what really bothered them more than anything.
All right, no TJ Watt. That could bother the Steelers too. He's not playing this game. Do we expect to see him the rest of the regular season? I guess it kind of depends on what happens here today, right?
Yeah, Rich, last week when we were in Detroit, I told you he was expected to come back to practice, and he did. I didn't think he would play today, especially if the game was meaningless. But it just depends how they want to play it next week. He's been cleared to play. Certainly he will play by the playoff game for sure. It's just a matter if next week's game is meaningless, then probably won't play, I'm going to guess. If it means something, you might see him back on the field.
Well, speaking of meaningless, this game is definitely meaningful right now. Everyone kind of thought that the Ravens would lose last night and the Steelers would have nothing to play for and already clinch. That's not the case, so I'd imagine there's no resting any starters. Everyone's going to play.
No, Rich, it's full bore ahead, and maybe it's for the best, because obviously if it's a meaningless game, it wouldn't matter if they won or lost. But I think the way they're playing, the way Aaron Rodgers is playing, they want to keep going the way they're going. So I think that game last night, it enables them to keep their attention where it should be. And I know they haven't been very good here the last 7 years, but I think maybe the best thing was that the Ravens won, and now we'll see the Steelers, again, full steam ahead today.
Yeah, only one win in the last 7 years. All right, guys, back to you in the studio.
That's right, 5-1 in their last 7 trips to Cleveland. Hope that changed today. All right, thank you, guys. And without Metcalf and Austin, the depth of the Steelers' wide receivers will certainly be tested in this game. And luckily for that group, Aaron Rodgers has already done a good job involving multiple pass catchers. Now it's time for Charlie's quarterback analysis presented by Cleveland Brothers. And Charlie, last week, 9 different receivers caught passes in that. That can certainly help them. But tight ends, if ever there was a day to use tight ends, today would be the day.
This is going to be the day here. I expect to see a lot more tight ends being used here today. Why? Because weather is going to play a factor here today. It's supposed to rain majority of that first half. So what does the ball security look like? One from Aaron Rodgers and ultimately getting to those receivers to be able to catch you. So between tight ends and a lot more of the running backs here today.
Yeah, you're going to see MVS, you're going to see Thielen, you're going to see Roman Wilson will be back in that lineup today too. So we're just getting started here on Steelers Kickoff. And when we come back, Rich Walsh spent some time talking to North Allegheny alum Joey Porter Jr. on the South Side earlier this week. We have that interview, and it's coming up next.
Welcome back to BetMGM Steelers Kickoff.
All right, welcome back. A big game day here today in Cleveland as the Steelers ahead of the Browns this afternoon, 1 p.m. KDK. Joey Porter Jr. has been really a steady presence for the secondary for the Steelers all season long. He hasn't given up a touchdown all year. Rich Walsh got a chance to catch up with the hometown kid earlier this week.
Joey, I want to ask you about that last game. Was that the craziest, wildest finish you've ever seen?
Man, I was talking about it when you guys interviewed me. It was the craziest game I was a part of. And I told you, you dream of those type of moments. So I was thinking about that all night. Even that last play when it came down to it, you just want to be in those moments. And I was just happy to be there.
And even if there wasn't a flag, you stopped him. You had him stopped, right?
Yeah, I feel like we tackled him at the 1. He made the toss at the 4-yard line. I feel like forward progress should have been called, but it is what it is. We need to finish through the whistle. And it just landed on us. So we're happy with that.
You haven't given up a touchdown in a long time. Are you thinking about that in the back of your mind at all?
Not really. I just think I'll just finish it and fighting. Just like the Ravens play, I just got to finish a fight. It's never over till the ref says it's over. And that's the mentality I carry.
Yeah, you couldn't give up a touchdown to a tight end, right?
No, can't give up a touchdown to a tight end. Definitely not the first one. Definitely.
Do you feel like this defense is really clicking, trending in the right direction at the perfect time?
Yeah, it's crazy because I was actually talking to my dad about that yesterday, obviously on Christmas, that he was telling me the spill of his team around that time, 05, that they got on their run at the right time, getting hot at the right time. And I'm not saying we're that team, but I feel like we're getting hot at the right time. And, we're not seeking comfort. We're not being complacent. We still want to improve and want to get better. So I feel like we're all just still hungry and on this journey, and we're all locked into that.
There's been a lot of ups and downs, but I think I was talking to John last week. He said sometimes the downs are what makes you guys, what helps.
Definitely. because, you know, you get in those situations where you're not up at the time or you're not going to be winning every game to the last second. So we just got that fight in us, that dog in us that a lot of teams don't really have.
All right, Rich, thank you very much with Joey. And Charlie, let's talk about that, because the knock on Joey Porter Jr. has long been that he's too aggressive, too many penalties, too many grabs. You know, that hasn't been a problem so far this season. It was earlier, not so much now. How has he adapted, and how has he impressed you over the course of this season?
Yeah, I mean, I've known Joey his whole life, essentially. And when you see one of the things that's always remained consistent, when he's challenged, that's when he rises to the equation. When coming into this season, they didn't necessarily think that, or at least the moves that were made by the organization, bringing Darius Slay and Jalen Ramsey, that they felt that he was going to be the number one. But he still continued to work at his craft, and now you're seeing the fruits of his labor right there continue to do it. This guy right here is one of the top corners in the league, and expect to see him play more consistently throughout the rest of the season.
Ching down the road. Now there's some money coming up.
No doubt about it.
Another live look from Huntington Bank Field, where things look to be deteriorating weather-wise. Steelers and Browns meet up one final time. It's the biggest one of the year, 1 o'clock kickoff right here on KDKA. When we come back, we're going to head back to Rich Walsh in Cleveland. He'll give us an idea what the Browns have been up to in recent weeks, and they got a lot of injuries. We'll talk about that next.
Away with victory.
At the doorstep of winning the division, man, I just don't take this opportunity lightly.
As they continue the AFC's oldest rivalry by playing Cleveland Browns.
Divisions are won on the road in those hostile environments, in those opposing cities.
That's right. Here we go. And it's today at 1 o'clock right here on KDK. Welcome back inside the KDK TV studios for Steelers Kickoff. If you missed it last night, the Ravens and Packers played in Green Bay, and it was one that Baltimore absolutely needed. The difference was that John Harbaugh stuck with his bell cow, Derrick Henry, which is something he did not do against other teams like the Steelers. Henry was a horse. 36 carries, 216 yards, 4 touchdowns. The Ravens stayed alive, winning 41-24. First meeting of the season between these teams was a pretty easy one for the Steelers at home, but the road matchups have not treated Pittsburgh well in recent seasons. Rich Walsh has more on the Browns heading into this one, where the Steelers have had their trouble in Cleveland. Rich?
Bob, we all know the Steelers haven't had much success here recently. 1-5-1 in their last 7 trips. Their only win was back in 2021. So no matter what the records are, you can kind of throw that away, or how bad the Browns appear. This is anything but a slam dunk win for the Steelers.
As the old saying goes, death, taxes, and Cleveland finishing last in the division are 3 things that you can count on every year. The Browns limp into today's game, which is 3 total wins after losing 7 of their last 8. Their disappointing performance on the field somehow doesn't match the drama their front office created off it, especially at the quarterback position. Controversial rookie Shedeur Sanders replaced an ineffective Dylan Gabriel in Week 12. Well, he's made a few plays. He's thrown more interceptions than TDs and has been sacked 15 times. Their offense ranks in the bottom 3 in almost every statistical category. And things got worse last week when rookie tailback Quinshon Judkins was lost for the season after a gruesome injury. Despite the offense being in shambles, the Browns do have a few things on their side, specifically Myles Garrett, who has been a thorn in the Steelers' side.
Myles Garrett has certainly been an issue for us in that venue. I think he's had 5 sacks against us in our last 2 trips, neither of which we won. And so we understand the gravity of what we're going into and how they engineer victory and who's significant in doing so.
The Steelers have also struggled to win in Cleveland in recent years, despite many of those Browns teams looking much like the current version. They've won just 1 time since 2017 in this stadium, albeit with a rotating cast of starting quarterbacks.
Well, as we can see in today's South College game plan, the Steelers have started a different QB in almost every game up here over the past 7 years. The lone QB to get a win in Cleveland over that span, the old gunslinger, Ben Roethlisberger, who finished his career an amazing 26-2-1 against the Browns. There's no doubt, guys, the weather is going to be a factor here today. It's supposed to rain like this, and it's raining right now throughout the entire game. Right now, the Steelers are 4.5-point favorite. That line moved in the Steelers' favor a little bit ago, and an over and under is 35.5 right now, the lowest over and under. So I don't expect a lot of points scored here, and the field is not in great shape. So I'd imagine a low-scoring game. Guys, back to you.
Yeah, and ball possession. That's the one thing you can do, just keep it away from Cleveland, even though they don't have that many weapons right now on offense. All right, Rich, thank you very much. Another major storyline today is Myles Garrett potentially breaking the NFL single-season sack record, dethroning T.J. Watt on top of that list. You might remember Watt tied Michael Strahan's record of 22.5 4 years ago. Garrett was controversially credited with a half sack last week when Josh Allen fell down. That was the wrong call, by the way, and that puts him just a half sack off the record. Charlie, the Steelers always have to game plan for Garrett, but today they should be motivated to do a little bit more and more focus on him, I would imagine.
You better believe that, and if you're Myles Garrett, you want to do it in this game because you're looking and knowing that T.J. Watt is watching on the other side. Now, the Steelers, you heard Mike Tomlin talk about the 5 sacks over the last 2 games. They better pay attention to him. If they don't, shame on the coaching staff by not preparing the game plan to do so. So you know and make sure that you identify where 95 is at, so there has to be a body presence on him.
Absolutely. All right, now it's time to take this program to New York City. James Brown is standing by. He has a look at what's coming up today on the NFL Today following our program. JB.
Hey, Bob, up next on the NFL Today, we'll break down a divisional matchup when your Steelers head to Cleveland for a battle with Myles Garrett and the Browns. Our guy, J.J. Watt, joins the show to share what's on his mind. And we get a chance to chop it up with Seahawks star Leonard Williams for an In the Pads chat. Then the guys give their favorites for this year's Coach of the Year award. But right now, Bob and Charlie, they will be coaches, guys. They'll be right back when Steelers Kickoff continues right here on KDKA.
Steelers Kickoff is presented by McClellan's Contracting and Roofing. If our name goes on it, we stand behind it, so you can stand in it.
It is what they take with them into battle. It's their weapon, and they use it.
Woo! Look at all these terrible towels. Everybody got one. Look at Casino. Everybody got one.
Yesterday marked the official 50th anniversary of the terrible towel created by legendary broadcaster Myron Cope in 1975 and still a staple of Steelers Nation. The team recently released a full-length documentary about the legend of the towel, and you can check it out, Steelers' YouTube page or at Steelers.com. And Charlie, your memories about the towel, you saw it everywhere you went.
I did. And obviously, growing up here in Pittsburgh, you see terrible towels laying around the house, and you're trying to figure out as a child, why are these towels around the house? But you quickly are realizing, hey, these are the 2 do's and don'ts of this particular terrible towel. And it's just awesome to be a part of it. And I could just remember in 2002 when that double renegade happened against Cleveland during that playoff game and all those terrible towels that were waving around the stadium. It was a phenomenal scene that you saw. And, man, what a tradition to continue to carry on.
Absolutely. Often imitated, never duplicated. One guy who has been responsible for many of those towels sent twirling this season has been Kenneth Gainwell. Kenny G, over the past 2 weeks, he has totaled over 100 combined rushing yards and receiving yards, and he's done this while splitting touches with Jaylen Warren. He's also given the offense a spark with huge chunk plays like his touchdown catch from last week in Detroit. Charlie Gainwell has always been a solid player, but this has been an impactful season. The Steelers obviously saw that in him. Did you?
Yeah, I mean, watching that, I didn't expect it totally at this particular point, but man, the way that his contributions on with this team, and he's done so. And the thing, yes, we could talk about the stats, but the one thing that has impressed me is the fact of his pass blocking ability. All the way back in training camp, we always talk about backs on backers. He showed up in a big way, resulting in him getting more touches on the field. And man, this guy's producing.
Yeah, so, and when the Steelers score 1 touchdown when he is in the end zone, they're 5-0. So hopefully that'll continue. Plenty of names are not going to be available for the Steelers today, which could play a factor in how things turn out in Cleveland. It is a long list. Metcalf, Austin, Seumalo, Watt, Pierre, Eccles. And, of course, at the bottom of that list, 2 guys who are going to play, Harold Fannin and Wyatt Teller. Both were questionable. Now they will play in this game. And Fannon's been a big difference in their tight end room. All right, take a look at the live Steeler presence in Cleveland. I wonder how many Steeler fans will be twirling that towel today. Hopefully, at the end of the day, we'll come back with final thoughts and predictions next.
Welcome back to BetMGM Steelers Kickoff.
Steelers are 4.5-point favorites, so you know Cleveland wants nothing more than to spoil their plans this week. What about predictions? Let's start with Rich in Cleveland.
Well, Bob, the rain let up a little bit right now, but it's supposed to be back. It's still windy. It's going to be miserable the entire game. I like the Steelers no matter what. 27-16. But either way, I think they win by more than 4.5, guys.
All right, thanks, Rich. How about you, Charlie?
Weather obviously is going to play a factor here today. This is going to be a sloppy game to watch, but the Steelers prevail, and they pull this out 16-13.
I think we all agree with this based on what's at stake. Gerry Dulac says Steelers as well, 23-9. I think it'll be a 16-point spread, 26-10, and they'll win a division. If not, then next week becomes a big, big week. All right, coming up next is the NFL Today on CBS and KDKA. We got the game at 1 o'clock. We'll follow with 2 hours of postgame, so join us for that. We'll take your calls as well. And then tonight, 11:35 on time, Rich and I will kick it around on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. Steeler fans are there. They want to celebrate. Will they do it? You'll find out today at 1. Have a great game day, everyone.